Hello, children. Welcome to another session of English literature. So, this is our fifth chapter, The Story of an Hour. The story begins with a piece of news, a tragic one, the supposed death of Mr. Mallard. Mr. Mallard's friend, Richards, and Mrs. Mallard's sister, Josephine, are extremely worried as they contemplate on communicating the supposed death of Mr. Mallard to his wife. Mrs. Mallard has a heart condition, and any piece of news that can trigger intense emotions can be lethal for her. Richards gets to know of a railroad disaster and finds Brenty Millard's name on the list of the deceased victims. But he still doesn't believe. Through a second telegram, the news is confirmed. Now he tells Josephine, who communicates it to Lois in broken sentences and veiled hints, so that the news doesn't hurt her and anything fatal doesn't happen to her, because Mrs. Mallard has something of a heart condition. She tries to make the blow as soft as possible. Josephine is very worried because her sister is not good from her heart. So she tells the news in as soft as possible way. When Mrs. Mallard hears the news, she weeps in wild abandonment. After a while, she calms down and goes away into her room, forbidding anyone from following her. She sinks into a chair facing the window. She feels something coming to her, and at first she fears this sensation. Soon the sensation renders her powerless, and she says, "Free, free, free." Her eyes light up and her pulse starts to pick up pace, and soon her worn out body starts to relax. She finds herself in a contentment. She finds that after the death of her husband, she is now free from all the bondations of marriage. She loved her husband very much, and so did he love her. But there was something. Even so, she isn't able to shake off the exalted anticipation for the days that are yet to come. Free, body and soul free. Now she feels so relaxed that now she is totally free from the bondages of marriage. Josephine is worried out here when Lois locks herself into her room for a longer period. She walks up the stairs and knocks the door and asks Lois to open the door. She begs her to open it and says that you will make yourself ill. I beg, open the door. She's still Mrs. Mallard or Lois doesn't open the door, and Josephine again says, "What are you doing, Lois? For heaven's sake, open the door." Then from inside, Lois replies, "Go away, I am not making myself ill." Then with a feverish triumph, she opens the door and clasps her sister's waist and heads downstairs, where Richards is waiting for them. So they both move downstairs and Richards sees them. That is when the unexpected happens. When Josephine and Lois come down the stairs, something different happens in their life. They all are startled by the sound of the latchkey turning and the door opening. Brentley Millard, travel strained but very much alive, enters the house with his gripsack and umbrella. Josephine lets out a shriek, and Richard moves to screen him from Lois's view. But they are too late. Now, Brentley Millard, when enters the room, Josephine and Lois, they all are startled. But the shock of joy that Lois gets consumes her. Lois sees her husband, and the sudden, intense emotion that she experiences that consumes her. As soon as she sees Brentley, she falls down. The story ends with the doctor's verdict. Lois died of joy. So there ends the story, and this end is very different. So it was really a shocking thing to know that when she heard the news of her husband's death, nothing bad happened, but the sudden shock of joy that she received with the entrance of her husband, who was supposed to be dead, makes her overwhelmed with joy and leads her to death. So this is the end of the story. Hope you have enjoyed it. Happy learning.